Rock and Roll Geek Show 1046.
Still rocking after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name's Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today is Saturday, March 6, 2021, and it's 6:51 p.m. when I'm recording this episode. I had planned on doing a show on Thursday night. I had an interview scheduled. I was going to interview Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks and Black Flag and other music projects. He was one of my... When I was in a band called Stevie Stiletto in Jacksonville, Florida, we pretty much wanted to be the Circle Jerks. Them and the Ramones were the reason pretty much we got together. And, he's been a rock hero of mine since way back then. Stevie Stiletto was formed in 1982 in Jacksonville, Florida, and that's around the time that the Circle Jerks were happening. The Circle Jerks were from Huntington Beach, somewhere down there in Southern California, it's outside of L.A., beach scene. And we were doing Ramones songs, and we were just starting to play our own music, and we discovered the Circle Jerks. And that pretty much changed our life in Stevie Stiletto. When we started playing, we went from Ramones tunes to, we did some hardcore. The Circle Jerks were like, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, and Keith Morris. When Keith Morris was in Black Flag, he formed Black Flag with Greg Ginn. I had a million questions for Keith Morris, too. I'll tell you about that in a minute, but anyway, he formed Black Flag with Greg Ginn, and then he went on to, when he left Black Flag, he formed the Circle Jerks. Stevie Stiletto, we did Six Pack from Black Flag. We played some covers and we did some originals. We did like half and half. But the Circle Jerks were really our thing in Stevie Stiletto. And we pretty much formed ourselves after the Circle Jerks. And we played a few Circle Jerks songs, and they were just very important to me coming up. And I always wanted to interview Keith Morris, but I was always afraid to. He seemed... From the outside looking in, he seemed like a guy that would just kind of like be an asshole if I talked to him, if I had him on the show. And I didn't want to get a chast. He seemed like he was like this really intelligent guy, kind of like Jello Biafra type guy. And I didn't really want to be put down on my own podcast. So I never did pursue it. And then I got his book, My Damage, Keith Morris. Let's see, it's called My Damage, The Story of a Punk Rock Survivor. It came out in 2016, but I just got it. I didn't even know about it until last year, and I started reading it around November of last year, and it is one of the best memoirs that I've read in a long time. It was really honest, had some tons and tons and tons of good stories. I mean, tons. The guy almost died like several times. Anyway, it's a really good book. So I said, well, you know what? He seems like a really cool guy, according to this book that he wrote about himself. Well, I think he with Jim Rulin, so maybe he just told the story to a guy and another guy wrote it. But anyway, he seemed like a decent guy. So I looked for how to reach him. He's in a band called Off now, OFF exclamation point. So I looked for Keith Morris on Twitter. I looked for Keith Morris on Facebook. No Keith Morris anywhere. At least nowhere I could find. No KeithMorris.com. But I looked and I said, well, he's in Off. So I got on Off's website, and it said for media requests, click this email address. So I contacted this email address and said, hey, I'm a big fan of Keith Morris's, and I read his book, and I would really like to get him on the Rock and Roll Geek show. Could you pass this message on to him? And the next day, I got an email from Keith Morris, said, I'm a rock and roll geek. I have not listened to your podcast, but I love the name of your show, and I'd love to come on. The thing is, though, I got circle jerk practices for the next several weeks, and I'm not sure when I can do it. I thought, circle jerks, huh? Does that mean circle jerks are back together? And we got a pandemic going here, so the circle jerks are, but the circle jerks, I said, all right. So I contacted him back, replied back, hey, thanks for getting back to me. I really appreciate it. And whenever you can do it, it would be really amazing, and I would really appreciate it. Just let me know when's good for you, and I will work my schedule around yours. And I never heard back from him again. I waited 2 months. I didn't want to bug him. I'll get to some music. Don't worry, it comes soon. But I didn't want to bug him. So I waited a couple months, and finally I contacted him about 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, hey, Keith, we talked a few, like 2 months ago or in December, and I really didn't want to bother you, but here I am bothering you again. I'm just wondering if you'd still be interested in coming on my podcast. And just let me know when's good for you, because I'd really love to have you on. And I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks. And I said, uh-oh. He must have listened to my podcast and thought it sucked. I got bummed down on myself. The negativity started creeping in, and the darkness started coming out, and the depression. Talked about it on Mad at Dad with Dave Slusher. And Dave Slusher tried to make me feel better by saying that he probably never listened to the podcast and maybe he'll get back to me. Well, right after that I talked about it on the Mad at Dad, I got an email from Keith Morris. Hey, I got off practice next week. I can do any days except for this week. And so I said, so maybe he didn't listen to my podcast. Maybe he hadn't found out how shitty the show is. So I was happy about that. So we scheduled a time for Thursday of last week. I started reading the book again. I even went so far as to purchase the audio book from Audible and listen to the entire book on Thursday in the daytime, the day I was supposed to interview him. I already had a few questions, and so I listened to it from top to bottom. I think I might have like an hour left in the book. But it was enough, and I just started writing stuff down, and I got a lot of questions for him, or came up with a lot of questions. So here I am, sitting there Thursday night. It's about 6 o'clock. I said, all right, I'm gonna turn on some YouTube videos, and I watched them at the House of Blues. Pardon me, I need to take a sip of this fine Modelo here. The second one, or first one of the day. So I started watching live video from we back up a little bit. When I was at the Mountain House, I rewatched My Career as a Jerk, or something like that. It was a documentary on the circle jerks, but I passed out like right after I turned it on. But I had already seen it once. It was a good documentary too. I recommend it. It's on YouTube for free. Where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. At 6 o'clock, an hour before the interview, I laid down in bed and watched the entire House of Blues concert just to get in the mood, have circle jerks and Keith Morris in my head. So when he called, I'm really excited about this interview. A little bit nervous, actually a lot nervous, because I still thought maybe he would be a jerk to me. So I sit there, I come down to my studio, 10 till 7. I want to make sure everything's working right. I got everything set up. I got my phone plugged into the Rodecaster, everything. My heart's pounding. I'm nervous. All right, it's 6:59. All right, I got 1 minute. Oh, I hope this goes good. I hope he's nice to me. 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm sitting there looking at the screen. Oh, God, I hope he's nice to me. 7:01. Oh, he's probably going to be, because when you interview some of these guys and they call you, usually they call you around 7:03. So he's probably doing the fashionably late thing. So, all right. 7:03 comes around. No call. Did I give him the right phone number? So I went back and checked the email, made sure I gave him the right phone number. Yes, gave him the right phone number. I even reminded him the day before. I said, hey, it's Wednesday. I'm just reminding you about our interview the next day. 7:05 rolls around. No Keith Morris. 7:10 rolls around. No Keith Morris. 7:15 rolls around. No Keith Morris. And my heart starts sinking, going, motherfucker, is this going to be another Michael Grant situation where he blows me off? 7:20 comes around. I said, all right, this fucking guy's blowing me off. And I was fucking so pissed off. Oh, shit. So I sent him an email, said, hey, man, if you didn't want to come on, if you didn't want to come on the show, it would have just been much nicer if you'd just said, sorry, I'm not interested in coming on your show. And then I sent him and said, good luck in the future. I won't bother you again. With my passive-aggressive assholeness. I should have sent him an email and said, fuck you for fucking me over is what I should have done. But I didn't. I was kind of cordial in a passive-aggressive way. And I went to bed. Next morning, I wake up and got an email. There was a return from him. He responded to my email. It turns out he doesn't have a cell phone, he says. So he had no way of contacting me. He got tied up. So we rescheduled it for Wednesday of next week. So why am I telling you all this story? Because tonight I had to do a show. I mean, I didn't want to not have a show this week. So I had talked about doing a Greatness of Keith Morris episode, where I was just going to spin Keith Morris Circle Jerks, Black Flag off, other songs from Keith Morris or related to Keith Morris. So I said, all right, I will do a Greatness of Keith Morris. A Greatness of Keith Morris after he blew you off? Yes, that's what I'm going to do, friends. I'm going to give the guy the benefit of a doubt. If he doesn't call me on Wednesday, then we could have a problem. But I'm going to give him a benefit of a doubt, and tonight is going to be the Greatness of Keith Morris. So if you're not a punk rock fan, friends, you might want to skip this one, but maybe I will turn you on to some good music. Circle Jerk songs are all very short. Some of the Black Flag songs are really short too, so I'm going to play a lot of Keith Morris stuff. Let's start off with Black Flag. Keith Morris formed Black Flag in sometime around 76. They were called Panic, Hermosa Beach, California. So from the first recording he did, I think they did what was the first recording? They did some kind of demos or an EP. This is from that. This is Wasted from Black Flag. Macked up, I was so screwed up, I was out of my head. I was so jacked up, I was so drunk up, I was so napped out, I was out of my head. I was so wasted. I was wasted. There you go, Black Flag. That's it. 1 minute tunes. You gotta love it, man. When Black Flag formed, started a whole new revolution in music. The punk rock thing was happening, but hardcore punk rock was born with that, and it changed the entire scene. It spawned a whole new scene down in Southern California. Is there anything else from that first? I have the first 4 years, Black Flag. I'm pulling up the iTunes here because I don't have this stuff on a playlist. So Black Flag. Black Flag. First 4 years, he did. So I had the first Black Flag first 4 years is on. I think it's on SST, which was Greg Ginn's label. I think he did Nervous Breakdown. That wasn't the first record they did. Come on, there was nothing like this happening at that time. I mean, this is a totally new type of music. It was born with this. And we started over again. Nervous breakdown.
Same old lines. Don't tell me that today, if you know what's good for you, you'll get out of my way, 'cause I'm crazy and I'm hurt. Hurt on my shoulders. Going berserk. I won't apologize for acting out of line. You see the way I am. You leave anytime you die, 'cause I'm crazy and I'm hurt. Hurt on my shoulders. Going berserk. Crazy, crazy. Crazy, crazy. I'm so bad with the fucking thing. I'm so bad with the fucking thing. I'm so sick of everything. I just wanna die.
There you go. Now at this point, Stevie Slaughter, we had not heard Black Flag at this point. I think this happened. That recording, I'm not sure when that recording was, because like I said, I just have it on that first 4 years thing, which came out much later. The first record they ever put out was Damaged in 1981, and that had a different singer in it on it. Did that have Dez or Chuck Dukowski? Anyway, so when we discover Black Flag, it was when they were doing White Minority, which is not Keith Morris singing, a little bit of White Minority. And we even covered Six Pack. This was a little bit of Six Pack. Again, not Keith Morris singing, so I shouldn't be doing this on the Greatness of Keith Morris episode, but a little history here. All right, you get the picture. Six Pack. If you know Black Flag, you know Six Pack. So, but when we discovered Keith Morris was all right, back up a little bit. So he played with Black Flag. They started off as Panic. They played a bunch of parties and stuff. Then they became Black Flag. Somebody talked them into changing the name to Black Flag, and I'm not sure. It could have been the guys from Red Cross. I don't know. I don't remember. But I will ask Keith Morris when I talk to him, if he calls. So it was a good time. It was just like, they would have parties at the band room and beer and keg parties and stuff. They play parties. It was just a party scene. Well, then Chuck Dukowski came in the band, and it became, was it Chuck Dukowski came in the band? One of the guys came in the band. I think it was Chuck Dukowski, but they came in the band and said, we got to start getting serious. We got to start having practicing every night of the week. And it started not becoming fun for Keith Morris. He was like the party guy in the band. And they started making him feel like an outsider, and he just stopped coming to practice or whatever. And he ended up quitting Black Flag. And that's when he met Greg Hetson, the guitar player who was in Red Cross, and the drummer. What was the drummer's name? Oh, that drummer was really good. He was on the first Circle Jerks record. I can't think of the guy's name. Let me see here. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. The Nervous Breakdown record came out in '79. So the Group Sex record, they did Group Sex. What was the drummer's name? And Lucky Lehrer, that's the guy's name. Great fucking drummer. And Roger Rogerson, also a great bass player. So we met these guys in a bar and said, hey, we're not all in bands anymore. Let's, why don't we form a band? So they formed a band called the Circle Jerks, and that's when I discovered Keith Morris. They put out a record called Group Sex that is, if you don't have that in your, hold on, let me let the dog out here. Go on, Stella. If you're a punk rock fan and don't have Group Sex in your record collection, you should, because it is probably one of the most important hardcore punk rock records that there are. That's when we discovered them, and that record had some great songs on it, man. All super short songs, but songs like this, Operation.
I went to see a rabbi, but despite his advice, I want an operation. I will not bother right. Operation, snip and die, Operation, snip and die. They sent me to a preacher, a really thoughtful guy. He said my idea's crazy, I shouldn't even try this. Operation, snip and die. Operation, snip and die. But I've just seen a surgeon, and with that knife he cut. I cannot bring you children, this world is such a rush. It's Operation, snip and die. Operation, snip and die. I had an operation, a statement of our times. They tied my balls together, what's inside's not alive. Operation, snip and die. Operation, snip and die. Operation, snip and die. Operation, snip and die.
Oh, yeah. Man, that changed my life hearing this record. Also, they redid Wasted. The first song I played tonight was Wasted from Black Flag. They redid it 43 seconds long like this.
I was a hippie, I was a burnout, I was a dropout. You know I was out of my head and I was a surfer. I had a skateboard, I was a heavy man. You know I lived on the strand. I was so wasted. I was so fucked up, I was so screwed up, I was so jacked up. Couldn't get any higher than that, and I was so filled up, I was so napped up, I was so jacked up, I was out of my head. I was so wasted.
Yeah. Classic, man. It's a fucking classic. And you had such great tunes as this one, Beverly Hills. Come on.
Beverly Hills, Century City.
Now, if he blows me off on Wednesday, I'm not going to like these songs near as much.
People look the same, don't they
No, they're so damn lame. Man, I love this music. Every time I hear it, I put my fist in the air and sing along. Sing along hardcore punk rock.
Beverly Hills,
Century City.
Everything's so
Nice and pretty.
all the people look the same. Don't they know they're so damn lame? There she goes, three-piece suit, spandex pants, cowboy boots. everything's so nice and pretty, and all the people, they look the same, but don't they know they're so damn lame? Britney Sue, redneck dance, cowboy boots, Beverly Hills, Century City.
Yeah, there you go. That came out in 1980. Also on that album, see, I can play a tons of music now because their songs are so short. Every song in this album is great. Man, that rhythm section they had, the drummer, Lucky Larry, was a jazz drummer, and the bass player played a Fender Tele bass, and he was a badass bass player. He jumped all over the stage. Greg Hetson jumped around all over the stage. Keith Morris was all over the place, and the drummer was fucking fantastic. Also on that album, Back Against the Wall, every song in this album is a punk rock classic.
Backed up against the wall. They're up there clutching their guns, man, and it makes you feel real small. So, guys, big, no more broken glass. When it ends with the handcuffs on your hand, you run around, spray paint, graffiti on everybody's wall. You think that's fiction, man? That ain't nothing at all. So you can just big, no more broken glass. When it ends with the swift kick through your ass. You yell out in defiance, backed up against that wall. You're up there touching the Dutch man, makes you feel response so you get good. Big, no more broken glass. When it ends with the handcuff on your hand.
All right, there you go. You know what? Let's take a break here and thank some people who donated to the show. Okay. What am I going to play in the background and keep him with the Keith Morris theme? Why don't we fast forward? I'll get back to Keith. I'm fast forwarding to something I will probably talk about later, but after the Circle Jerks broke up, I'm fast forwarding into this. So years later, Circle Jerks broke up, and around 1990 or 91, he went up to New York to hang out for a while, and he met up with Daniel Ray. Remember Daniel Ray wrote some Ramones tunes and was in Dictators NYC and great punk rock songwriter. And met up with Daniel Ray, and they wrote some songs together, and they were going to form a band called Buglamp. Well, anyway, I will talk about Buglamp later, but while we thank the donors, I'm going to play something from Buglamp. They did a song that was on a tribute to Alice Cooper called Welcome to Our Nightmare that came out in 1993. Here is, to thank the people who donated, I'm going to play Second Coming, Ballad of Dwight Fry. Now, it's a 9-minute and 41-second song, so hopefully I can get all the donors in here. So here we go. From the Love It to Death, Keith Morris sings Alice Cooper. All right, friends, there are several ways you can donate to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. As you know, this is a value for value. If you like this show and you get any value out of it, I ask that you contribute what you think it's worth to you, friends. If you hate the show and you think it sucks, don't donate anything. But some people get some value out of this, like the following people. They went to patreon.com/RNRGeek. Rob Giglio donated $100. I think he wants to do a co-host. Thank you, Rob Giglio. You saved the show. Joe Pawlak, $16.66. Tim Schall, $15. Kirk Crawford, $12.77. Joseph Coyne, $10. Dan Gerawan, $10. Cole Thornton, $7.77. Michael Street, friend of mine and friend of the show, $7.50. My podcast mentor and co-host of Mad at Dad, the Rock and Roll 5-masker, Dave Slusher, $5.55. Brad Schultz, $5. James Shapiro, $5. Steve T. Steve Trice, $5. Justin Lefkowitz, $5. Erik Klein, $5. Greg and Ginny Bunke, $5. Steve Scouller, $5. Rodney Cross, $5. Grant Farquhar, $5. Jamie Jefford, $5. Brad Shick, $5. Michael Brown, $5. Betty Wood, $5. Brian Springer, $5. Chiaki Hinohara of the Metal Movement Podcast and Japanese Metalhead Show, $5, who I miss very much. I can't wait to go out to dinner with him soon. Robert Harvey, $5. Derek Coward, Comic Book Noise, $3. Chad Burns, $2.50. Paul Roub, $2.25. Ben Geddes, $2. Paul Smith, $2. Adrian Boschan, Boss Rock on the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook group, which I did not create, but I do approve, people. Just got to answer 2 questions so I know you're not an anti-vaxxer. Patrick Shanahan, $2. Bruce McMillan, $2. Mike Dixon, $2. Eric Stowell, Matthew Hunt, Paul Underwood, maker of Thunderwood Barbecue Sauce, $2. Eric the Rock and Roll Plebe, $1.42. Mark Mazet, $1. Amelia Bowen, $1. Arnie Stash, $2. 3 Lugs, 4 Wheels, $1. John Richardson, $1. And Corey Kohler, $1. RockandRollGeek.com, click the donate button. Also, you can go to PayPal. Rodney Cross, $100, save the show. John Morgan, $100, also save the show. Kirk Crawford, $50, also save the show. Richard Strom, $20. Douglas Freed, $2. Mike LaPlante, $2. Butler, I've been producing a wine show on YouTube for the past couple of years. Here on in, I'm the official rock and roll wine enthusiast. The show is called The Average Wine Enthusiast. Oh, let me stop it here because I want to go to the beginning here. Okay. The show is called The Average Wine Enthusiast. Good show with the Alice Cooper track by track. The drummer's last name is pronounced Badanchek. Many folks like you have mispronounced it, so he's just known as Johnny B. Hope to travel to Cali again someday and pay you a visit. Stay frosty, my friend. Thank you, Mike LaPlante, for the $20. Ralph Miller, $10. Dave Jackson in the School of Podcasting, $10. Jeff and Sherry Thielalicky, $10.
Mommy, where's Daddy?
Richard Fusey, $10.
He's been gone
Daniel
so
Segan,
long.
$10. BJ Lisco, $10.
He's ever coming home again?
James Venners, $10. Dave Franco, $10. Jason Shepard, $10. Blake Johnson, $10. Greg Brofer, $10. David Hunt, $10. Jace Lesniewski, $5. Oh, Dave Hunt, $5. Excuse me. Chris Del Grande, $5. Benjamin Muller, $5. John Tennis, $5. Greg Long, $5. Jero Carroll, $5. Robert Scott, $5. Peter Spark, $5. Brett Garski, $5. Eric Lentz, $5. John Offenlach, $5. Todd Cunningham, $5. Michael Williams, $5. Robert Giglio, another $5. Andrew Howe, $5. Dale Roller, $5. Jason Wendleton, $2. Vincent Creamy, $2. Bradford Page, $2. William Grattage, new donor, $2. William Moffat, $2. Lassie Safedhagen, $2. Adam Brachet, $2. Deborah Dreyfus, if that's your real name, $2. Oh, thank you to everybody who donates to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. You can also click the Amazon link at rockandrollgeek.com, and anything you buy, I'll get a small kickback. You can also call in and leave an audio comment. That's another way to help produce the show.
Wait there.
And you can call other radio stations and say some catchy rock and roll geek phrases like super great couldn't be better. take a sip of this fine Tecate. Etc., etc.
White bells.
I need to open up a second Modelo. Let's let this song roll out.
Little children, she's only 4 years old. I'd give her back all of her playthings,
Thanks.
and even the ones I stole. Gotta let me out of here. I gotta get out of here. They gotta let me out of here. Out of here. Let me out of here. Gotta get out of here. Let me out of here. Let me out
Yeah, pretty good version of Ballad of Dwight Fry. I mean, that song is great. Anyway, maybe I could have geeked out on Alice Cooper with Keith Morris, because when I was on that, I Was a Teenage Jerk, or whatever that documentary on the Circle Jerks is. When they're talking to him, he's sitting in front of a Love It to Death poster. So I'm assuming he's a huge Alice Cooper fan. So maybe I would have geeked out on Alice Cooper with the guy. So let's go back again now. Back to the second album, which also played a huge important part of my musical upbringing. The album's called Wild in the Streets. Another classic punk rock album that you should own, friends. On the cover of the Circle Jerk of Wild in the Streets, they're in San Francisco. In front of they're walking down the street, the Transamerica building. There's a group of punks. They're walking down the street like a parade, with a group of punks. According to his book, there was like the Veterans Day parade or something going on, and all this military and things. And they had played the night before, or they were playing that night at Mabuhay Gardens in North Beach. And this photo was taken actually in North Beach, or downtown, the financial district. And they're walking down the street. The whole group of punks is in color, but the guys in the band are in black and white. And little fun fact here, on the album cover, 1, 2, 3, the fourth person from the left is a punk rock dude who's wearing creepers and a hat. That's none other than Mike Ness from Social Distortion. He was at the show. I think Social Distortion may have opened for them at the Mabuhay Gardens. They were on the bill with Circle Jerk. So he's on the cover of the Wild in the Streets album. One of my favorite Circle Jerk songs is Wild in the Streets. Here you go.
Wild! 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 Wild in the streets! Wild in the streets! Wild in the streets! Wild in the streets! In the heat of the summer, better call out a plumber. Turn on the steam cock, cool me off with your big crowd fighters and your newspaper writers. Still need a drugstore to kill my buzz. Wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! 64 valiant, handful of Valiums, couple of beers really do me right. You better believe us, better trust us. Teenage giant, walking rap, wild! 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 Running! Wild! Wild in the streets! Running! Running! Wild in the streets! Running! Running! Wild in the streets! Running! Running! Wild in the streets! Got a gang called the Wolves, you have to choose. Play with the boys, you're bound to lose. Bottle in one hand, can in the other. Don't fool around, cause they're real mean mother. Wild! 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 Running, running, wild! Running, running, wild! Mrs. America, how's your favorite son? Do you care just what he's done? No! Wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! Running, running, wild in the streets! Wild in the streets! Running wild in the streets! Running wild in the streets! We're running wild in the streets! Running wild in the streets! We're running wild in the streets! Running wild in the streets! We're running wild in the streets!
There you go. Also on this album, there's a good cover. There's a couple of covers, actually. There's Put a Little Love in Your Heart, which I don't remember who. Put a Little Love in Your... Remember that one? There's also this one, Just Like Me. Who did this song? Was it Boyce and Hart or something like that? Or it could have been Paul Revere and the Raiders. Here you go. Just Like Me. Just Like Me.
It's just like me to say to you, hug me dear, and I'll be true. And what I'd like for you to say is you'll come home to me each day, and you'll be my girl. That's what I want. Just you, sweet girl, and not a front. It's just like me to feel so blue and fall so much in love with you. Just like me.
There you go. I also, stop. Fire this producer. Between a Group Sex and Wild in the Streets, they did a movie called they were in a movie called The Decline of Western Civilization with Black Flag, The Germs, a bunch of other bands. You've seen the movie, I'm sure, if you're a fan of rock or a student of rock and roll. You more people probably saw the second one, The Metal Years, but the first was a classic cult film, and that pretty much put all these punk rock bands on the map. And that's about that pretty much that. Once that movie came out, hardcore punk started happening all over the country, and it's pretty much what started Stevie Stiletto happening. When Stevie Stiletto was happening. There might have been like 5 hardcore bands in Florida. So we were kind of like doing the Florida version of LA hardcore. There was us. There was a Black Flag ripoff band called Roach Motel. There was a Wasted Youth ripoff band called Hated Youth. And there was us, who were Stevie Stiletto and the Switchblades. We were just Stevie Stiletto and the Switchblades. Then we later shortened our name to Stevie Stiletto. But we were doing... Whereas Roach Motel was kind of a Black Flag ripoff, and then you had Hated Youth. We were doing our interpretation of the Circle Jerks meets the Descendants, a little bit more pop like the Descendants, and more catchy hardcore like Circle Jerks. Why am I saying this? I don't know, but I'm saying it. So after Wild in the Streets, they put out in 1983 Golden Shower of Hits. Do I have this? I think I have this one on vinyl too. I was going to ask him about this record because on the album cover, this is a Far Out. This is what record label is this? LAX Records, but they got this management company called Jerry Goldstein produces. Jerry Goldstein, he's a famous producer, I think. Anyway, Far Out, they got hooked up with some management company called Far Out Productions, who produced War. They had a bunch of these bands on their roster, War, and they had all these gold and platinum records on the wall. And on the cover of this, there are some gold records in a urinal, and you can see a stream of piss going onto these gold records. Well, according to Keith Morris's book, they actually took these gold records off the wall when the Far Out management people were not looking, took them out of the frames, stuck them in the urinal, and the drummer, I think, for either the drummer or bass player for Circle Jerks, that's actually him pissing on these gold albums. This is also a great record, Golden Shower of Hits. It has Coup d'etat, which is a one of their classic tunes. But what I'm going to play is another cover from this album. Great cover. It's a medley, Golden Shower of Hits. So Keith Morris, he talks about this in the book as well. That the medley of songs is like tells a story of a guy meeting a girl, falling in love with the girl. They get married. I don't know if they get married, but they have a baby. Things go downhill, and it leads to divorce. All right, so all that story is in this one medley of songs called Golden Shower of Hits, Jerks on 45. Speaking of Golden Shower of Hits, I need to go use the bathroom. I'm going to play this song while I'm using the bathroom.
Every time I think I'm the only one who's lonely, someone calls on me. And every now and then I spend the time to find a person who's so close to me. And then along comes Mary, and then she wants to give me kicks, and no other kid can give me bigger memories. I really got the tales of all the trials and tribulations no one's ever seen. Why do birds suddenly appear
here every time you are near. Just like me, they long to be close to you. Why do stars fall down from the skies every time you walk by? Just like me, they long to be close to you. On the day that you were born, the fairies got together and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled in dust in your hair and golden starlight in your eyes blue. My baby, gonna hold her tight, gotta grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always been, when it's right, while we can fill the middle of a cold, dark night, when everything's a little clearer in the light of day. And we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Wonderful way of saying how much you love me. Happy my baby! What a lovely way of saying what you're thinking of me. I can see it, faces glowing. I can see it in your eyes. I'm happy knowing that you're having my baby. You're the woman I love, and I love what it's doing to you. Having my baby. You're a woman in love, and I love what's going through you. In my heart and let love. Our little boy is 4 years old and quite a little man. So we spell out the words we don't want him to understand. Like T-O-Y or S-U-R. P-R-I-S-C. But the words were holding from him now till the heart right out of me. R-D-I-V-O-R-C-E becomes final today. Me and little S-O-B will be going away. But I love you both, and this won't be your H-E-double-L on me. Oh, I wish we could stop this D-I-V-O-R-C-E.
There you go. So around that time, they got a part in a movie called Repo Man, which we actually that's a cult classic movie. I recommend everybody look for that on. Probably, I don't know where maybe you can find it on Netflix. I don't know, but we saw it in the movie theater because we heard that the Circle Jerks were on the soundtrack, and they were great in the movie because they were like playing at some dive bar, and they were in tuxedos, and were they in tuxedos? I think so, but they were doing an acoustic version of "When the Shit Hits the Fan." Chuck Biscuits became their drummer. Chuck Biscuits from Danzig, DOA, one of the greatest punk rock drummers of all time. This is the song they played, but this is the electric version, which is also on Golden Shower of Hits, called When the Shit Hits the Fan.
Whatever we can. Gotta duck when the shit hits the fan. Just get by, however we can. We all have to duck when the shit hits the fan. Soup lines, free loaves of bread, 5-pound blocks of cheese, bags of groceries, social security has run out on you and me. Do whatever we can. Gotta duck when the shit hits the fan.
There you go, when the shit hits the fan. So fast forward a couple years, Stevie Sletto's still together, still doing our thing. We eventually moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, because we hooked up with a manager. We were on tour one time, and we kind of got stranded in Indianapolis, and there was this promoter / club owner / band manager named Bill Levin, punk rock legend in Indianapolis in the Midwest. And there was a band called Toxic Reasons living in from Indianapolis as well. We were broke, not making any money on tour. We came into Indianapolis on fumes, no gig. But we knew that Toxic Reasons lived there, so we stumbled in. We just strolled into town. I think we played Peoria the night before or something. Or 2 nights before, and the guy in Peoria who booked a gig for us, let us stay at his mom's house, and she made some bastacholi, which is like a pasta dish, and they gave us the leftovers, and we were so broke and hungry. They gave us like this big aluminum tin of pasta. That thing sat on our dashboard for 2 days. We lived off that, starving our asses off, eating rotten pasta. Strolled in to Indianapolis. We were looking for a blood bank to donate blood or to sell plasma to make money to get gas to get home or to the next gig, which I don't remember where the gig was, but so we go to Toxic Reasons house. And I remember Tufty, the bass player, he took us to the grocery store and bought us some grocery. We went and got a bunch of stuff to make dinner. He had a big taco feast at his house. Oh, we were in heaven. The guy saved our life, and he introduced us to this guy named Bill Levin. because they were playing at Toxic Reason was playing at a bar in Broad Ripple in Indianapolis, and he said, "Why don't you guys open up for us? We'll let you get up and we'll play, and you can play a short set, open for us, and maybe we'll give you like $50 or something. That'll give you some money to get to the next gig." And Bill Levin was there because he booked a show, and he fell in love with us. He thought we were like Alice Cooper, like punk rock version of Alice Cooper. And he loved us. He wanted to manage our band. He said, "I want to manage you guys." So strolled into Indianapolis on fumes, broke, hungry, tired, and dirty. Bill Levin let us stay at his house. Decides he's going to manage us. So we go home with a manager, and the guy pretty much saved our life. Well, the reason I'm saying this is because when we went back to Bill Levin's house after we went back to Jacksonville and licked our wounds and everything, we did another tour and headed up to the Midwest. And Bill Levin was a promoter, and he put us on several shows with the Circle Jerks. A dream come true for us little kids and Stevie Soletto, playing with our music, with our punk rock heroes, the Circle Jerks. They were on tour for an album called Wonderful. According to Keith Morris, he doesn't remember this period at all because he was doing lots of cocaine and lots of alcohol. But we remember it very fondly because we did several shows with the Circle Jerks, and like I said, it was a dream come true. The album was called Wonderful. It's a pretty good album. It's not as good as the first three, but it still has its moments. And from Wonderful, I'm going to play something called An American Heavy Metal Weekend.
Toyotas and Subarus. Fight 'em, beat 'em, got a lot to lose. Ninjas, Gibsons, stack 'em high, stack 'em up against the sky. Speakers blasting in bands, make them wish they didn't land. 1, 2, 3. It's an American heavy metal weekend. It's an American heavy metal weekend. The English sure will give them a break with their high watts and their marshals. It started here, make no mistake. It's always real and never fake. Platform boots and puffy hair, gotta raise the scare. Metal merchants peddle their wares, not U.S. made. Buyer beware. 1, 2, 3. It's an American heavy metal weekend. It's an American heavy metal weekend. Rat! Dawkins! Quiet Riot! Motley Crue! Twisted Sister! Dudes! What I want is what I need, made here in the USA! Never ashamed, always proud, always hard, always loud. Amplifiers vibrate across the globe. Send those rats back in their hole. 1, 2, 3. It's an American heavy metal weekend. It's an American heavy metal weekend. It's an American heavy metal weekend.
Nooge.
There you go. American Heavy Metal Weekend. Around this time, punk rock started morphing into metal. This is about the time thrash metal started happening, and that's why they started going a little bit more, slowing it down. And around the time DRI did the Crossover album, that kind of changed punk rock. Hardcore started going into a more metallic direction. Well, Circle Jerks did one more album before Greg Hetson joined Bad Religion and found his fame and fortune. They did one more album called Six, which was actually their fifth album, but somebody in the band thought it would be clever to call it Six, and people would wonder what happened to the fifth album. They'd go looking for the fifth album. Not a great album, but there is a great cover on it of a Creedence Clearwater Revival song called Fortunate Son. Great song no matter who plays it. So Circle Jerks are kind of no more right at this time, and Keith Morris is wandering around L.A., and he stumbles into this bar and sees this band playing in an afternoon in front of like 6 people called the Hangmen. And he gets this idea that he wants to manage these guys. Okay, I'm Keith Morris. Maybe I can become a band manager. So he takes these guys under his wing. They were playing in front of nobody at the bar. He's a new band. He goes and talks to him. Hopefully I'll get these stories from him if he comes on the show, because the management, when he managed these bands, he managed 2 bands, and they're great stories. I'm not telling them the way they should be told, but he takes this band, the Hangmen, under his wing, pays for their demo to be made. I think he did. I think Brett Gerawan, or however you pronounce his name, from Bad Religion, recorded these guys' demo. Was it Brett? No, not Brett Gerawan. That's the guy from Epitaph, right? Anyway, I'm talking out my ass. I don't know the fucking guy's name. Anyway, I don't remember. It was one of the guys from Bad Religion produced the Hangman demo. So he's shopping the demo around, and lo and behold, Capitol Records takes interest in the Hangman. Keith Morris is about to get his first band that he managed a record deal with Capitol Records, and he takes her into the office and meets this girl named Rachel Matthews, who, coincidentally, was responsible for getting Exodus their record deal on Capitol. And I knew Rachel Matthews. She was a hot redhead. friends with, best friends with our manager, Tony Isabella. Super hot. She was dating at the time when I met her. She was dating the guitar player for Verbal Abuse, and she was working for Hollywood Records when I met her. But she before that she worked for Capitol, and she got Exodus their record deal with Capitol. And Keith Morris brought the Hangman in to meet with Rachel Matthews, and one thing leads to another. And long story short, hopefully Keith Morris will tell this story a lot more detail than I'm telling it, because I don't want to blow the whole wad of my interview with him. But what ends up happening is Capitol Records talks the Hangman into dumping Keith Morris as their manager and getting some new guy that Capitol Records decides is going to be their manager. Keith Morris gets them a record deal at Capitol Records and gets fucked in the ass out of the record deal. While he's managing the Hangman, let's take a break there and play a Hangman tune. Now, I don't have that Capitol Records Hangman. That's long out of print, and I think it's really hard to find because I can't find it anywhere, not even on Amazon Music. But Hangman put out another album on acetate a couple years later. By the way, he gets them the record deal. Capitol Records remixes the album without telling them, totally fucks the band over. So I guess karma is kind of a bitch. They screwed over Keith Morris. They didn't even tell him that he wasn't going to be their manager. They just screwed him over behind his back. I don't remember how he found out. I'll ask him about it on the show. But karma came back to bite them on the ass because that record did nothing and they got dropped like a month later, if the album even came out. But they did an album a couple years later on Acetate Records, and it's a great album. Here's some Hangman.
Fix it. Well, here she comes, she's headed for the sky. Devil laughs about you and I. Devil laughs and dances at your feet. Little boy, you're out in the
Hangmen were a great band. They still are. They're still going. I think they broke up and reformed. So while he's managing the Hangmen, he also stumbles upon this band playing at, I don't know, Coconut Teaser or some bar. I'm probably not Coconut Teaser, but at some, he's playing at some bar. I'm stuttering. I'm actually stuttering. Woo. Slow down. He stumbles upon another band playing in a bar called the Nymphs with a singer named Inger Laurie, who I had on the Rock and Roll Geek show a few years ago. The Nymphs, I'm sure you probably heard of the Nymphs if you know about rock and roll history. This is around the Guns N' Roses time. Same time, the Hangmen. See, when the Hangmen got signed to Capitol, this is when Guns N' Roses started happening, and everybody was looking for. There was a record label feeding frenzy. If a band had any kind of trashy Guns N' Roses type look or whatever, record labels were in bidding wars over them. So Keith Morris got the Hangmen signed, and he stumbles upon the Nymphs and Inger Laurie. Well, Inger Laurie takes a liking to Keith Morris, and I don't know if you remember what Inger Laurie looked like, but she was pretty fucking hot looking girl, and she was a great performer. So she starts dating Keith Morris. I don't think Keith Morris is the best looking guy in the world, but kudos to him because he's managing Hangmen and the Nymphs and Inger Laurie and the Nymphs. He moves in with her. He's sharing a bedroom with Inger Laurie. Gets them a record deal with Geffen Records. They signed a multi-million-dollar record deal. They fuck him over big time. He comes home. She throws him out of the house. She moves in the guy from the Sea Hags, the bass player from the Sea Hags, may he rest in peace. Keith Morris out the door, doesn't make one dime off of the Hangman record deal he got for them. Doesn't make one dime off the multi-million-dollar Geffen record deal he got for the Nymphs. I guess the lesson to be learned there is to sign a contract. But yeah, bummer big time. And Karma also came back to bite the Nymphs on the ass because their record tanked. Inger Laurie got extremely sexually harassed to the point of, I think the record label guy beat off in a plant like Harvey Weinstein did. She climbs up on his desk, pisses on his desk. I think she smashes his windshield in his car or something like that. Keith Morris, no money from these management. So this is when, now here we are back in New York City where he meets Daniel Ray. Writes songs with Daniel Ray. Supposedly there's a bunch of good songs floating around there, and I don't know where they are. I know there is there's the Alice Cooper song. There is a song that he did on a soundtrack of a movie called Roadside Prophets, a song called El Dorado, which I can't find anywhere. If you have that, friends, can you please not send that to me, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com? I'd really appreciate it. That would just be wrong. They also recorded a Ramones tune. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm going too far ahead of myself. He wrote songs with Daniel Ray. Daniel Ray was a record producer and songwriter. He was producing a band called Circus of Power, I think, in New York. Keith Morris goes back to L.A., puts together a band called Buglamp, which was supposed to be him and Daniel Ray, and he and Daniel Ray were going to put a band together. He goes to L.A. to put the band together. Daniel Ray says, "I'll meet up with you in a couple of weeks. I got to finish the Circus of Power record." So he puts his band together. Daniel Ray ends up not coming down. It's taking a long time doing the Circus of Power record. In the meantime, Keith Morris puts Buglamp together with all these hotshot musicians. I don't know their names, but they're all like world-class musicians. And I don't think they recorded any of the Daniel Ray songs, but there are demos floating around there somewhere of songs that he recorded with Daniel Ray while he was in New York. In L.A., he recorded El Dorado, which is on the Roadside Prophets soundtrack. If anybody has that, please don't send me that because that would just be wrong. recorded Ballad of Dwight Fry, Second Coming, for that Alice Cooper tribute, which I played on the donation segment, which is a great cover version. And he also recorded a Ramones tune on a tribute called Gabba Gabba Hey, a tribute to the Ramones. That's what I'm going to play for you now. Howling at the Moon. You get to hear Keith Morris actually singing. So while they're still waiting for Daniel Ray to come around, Daniel Ray keeps putting him off and putting him off, and ends up saying, "You know what? You better just go on and do this without me. I'm not going to make it out there." So the band gets tired of waiting around, and the band quits on him. Keith Morris has all these labels wanting to sign Bug Lamp, and meanwhile he's got no band. The band quit on him. So around this time, or shortly after, punk rock hits because Green Day has a big, huge hit with Dookie, and all of a sudden, punk rock is on the charts, and all these punk rock bands start making millions of dollars, and all the legacy punk rock bands start thinking, "Hey, if punk rock is huge now, maybe we can reform and cash in on some of this and get our little taste of the pie." Well, the circle jerks also think that, and they get offered a record deal with a Relativity to reform. Now, if I interview Keith Morris, and he's probably going to tell me I'm full of shit and I got my facts all wrong. So I probably do, but Relativity ends up giving Circle Jerks a big fat advance to reform. So he gets Greg Hetson to take a little, to try to do something besides what he's making tons of money in Bad Religion, because Bad Religion is one of these bands that's also cashing in on the punk rock wave. But he gets the Circle Jerks back together with Greg Hetson, and they record an album called Oddities, Abnormalities, and Curiosities. Not a good album, but there is a great cover song on this album with Debbie Gibson. One of the guys, so the producer, or one of the guys, somebody from the label or the producer or something is dating Debbie Gibson and talks her into singing background vocals on one song. And this is the single off that album. Probably one of the only good songs on the album, but it is a great cover of a Soft Boys tune called I Wanna Destroy You.
Your bones. You won't have a single atom left to call your own. I wanna destroy you. I wanna destroy you. I wanna destroy you.
There you go. Great cover. Great cover. Debbie Gibson on background vocals. Well, that was the last album that the Circle Jerks did. Record didn't sell. I think it sold like 25,000 records in it or something like that. And Relativity dropped them. They reunited. So they reunited in 94, released that album in 95. They performed on and off until 2011. Then they went back on hiatus. They announced another reunion in 2019, right before the coronavirus hit. They're scheduled to play some shows this year, like some punk rock festivals and stuff, and I want to ask him about that. In 2010, Keith Morris formed a band called Off! Exclamation point, which could be a variation of the Black Flag, because Black Flag is a roach killer, and Off is a mosquito killer. I'm guessing that's where they got the name. With Dimitri Coates from Burning Brides, Stephen McDonald from Red Cross, Mario Rubalcaba, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, from Rocket from the Crypt. They are a pretty good band, and it is hardcore as hell. And I'm going to play something from the first 4 EPs. That's what I have of them. This song is called Now I'm Pissed. And speaking of pissed, this album is 1 minute and 1 second long. I got to piss, so I'm going to sprint to the bathroom while Now I'm Pissed is playing. There you go. Off. He's also doing a thing called Flag, which is an offshoot of Black Flag, which he got sued by Greg Ginn, which is why they can't call it Black Flag. But it's Keith Morris, Chuck Dukowski, Des Cadena from, those are all Black Flag dudes. Bill Stevenson, who was also in Black Flag, and the Descendants, and Stephen Egerton, guitar player from Descendants and All. Called Flag, and there's videos of Flag performing. It's fucking great. If you're a Black Flag fan, check out Flag, because it's pretty fucking rocking. And yeah, so there you go. That's my tribute to Keith Morris, the greatness of Keith Morris. And if he doesn't show up on Wednesday, maybe my next episode might be called Keith Morris is an Asshole and Can Kiss My Fucking Ass. But we'll see. Hopefully he'll show up. And hopefully we'll have a great conversation. And I hope I won't stumble over my words like I'm stumbling tonight. But I hope I did him justice. Even if he doesn't show up on Wednesday. The guy was one of my big influences growing in rock and roll. Almost as much of an influence as Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, and AC/DC. He's right up there. So I hold Keith Morris in extremely high regard. Whether he's an asshole to me or whether he's not. Somebody in the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook group said that he's notoriously unreliable. So hopefully he'll be reliable on Wednesday. So he offered me Wednesday night, so I'm going to take him up on it. Hopefully he'll do it. So we have that to look forward to, friends. Hopefully it won't be a train wreck like this. Before I close, I'm going to play one more song. I'm going to play a song that he did. He did backing vocals on a Turbo Negro song called Party Animal, or on a song called Wasted Again from Party Animals. But before I do that, I want to thank Chuck Spear, the rock and roll Hoosier, for sending me this book. He ordered it back in like October. Not October. October. The end of the year last year, Ross Halford did this book. It's a coffee table book called Pete Way. Photos and Stories of Pete Way by Ross Halford, famous rock photographer. What a book this is. Thank you so much, Chuck Spear, for sending me this. Pete Way by Ross Halford. You open it up, and it's got that old school new book smell, if that makes sense. I love the smell of that. I don't know if you remember, like when you used to pick up an Encyclopedia Britannica and you'd open up and smell it. It had that good smell. That's what this smells like. So many good photos and stories in this book. Pete Way by Ross Halfin. Thank you again, Chuck Spear, for sending me this. I am eternally grateful to you. Came from England. I think it's like a $75 book. I don't know, but it's a very, very thoughtful gift. Thank you, Chuck Spear, for that. I really appreciate it. All right. Thank you for listening to the Rock and Roll Geek Show, friends. We'll close out with one more song, a Turbo Negro song called Wasted Again from Party Animals. You can find this show at rockandrollgeek.com. Send me an email, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. Go to the Rock and Roll Geek Facebook group. There's about around 500 members, and there's always good rock talk, and I don't hardly contribute as much, very much, but there's lots of people who do, and it's a good community. Like I said, you just got to answer 2 questions, so I know you're not a one of those people who thinks enough of that. All right. You can also find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. Find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek. Don't ask. I'll talk to you hopefully Wednesday with the Keith Morris interview. Thank you for donating to the show, friends, because without your donations, this show would die a horrible, putrid, stench-filled death. I cannot do this show without your donations. So thank you for keeping the show alive, friends. Here is Wasted Again from Turbo Negro, featuring background vocals by Keith Morrison. There's also a good story in his book when Turbo Negro flies him out to perform with them in Norway or Sweden or somewhere on the way out there, and he ends up not being able to perform. It's a good story, and hopefully he'll tell that on the show. It's in his book, and it's very very, what do you call it? I guess the word is dramatic. Thank you for listening, friends. Turbo Negro, I'll talk to you soon. Turbo Negro, wait.
The
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.